Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're unpacking the massive, multi-billion-dollar journey of milk. We're taking an industry that literally touches almost every household on Earth and exploring how it blends ancient farmings with cutting-edge science and, honestly, some incredible global logistics.
So let's dive right in. What exactly transforms a simple farm byproduct into a total global economic powerhouse? I mean, how did this natural liquid become one of the most heavily traded and scientifically engineered commodities on the planet?
To figure that out, we're going to look at what's inside your glass, the science of processing, the global dairy economy, the New Zealand advantage, and finally, strategies for selling dairy.
Kicking things off with Section 1, Inside Your Glass, the nutritional core.
Now, you might already know that milk is about 90% water, but it is secretly a powerhouse delivery system. It's packed with calcium, protein, and vitamin D, sure, but it doesn't stop there. We're talking potassium, phosphorus, and essential vitamins like B12 and niacin. It's basically nature's original energy drink.
And this specific cocktail of minerals is exactly why it's been a dietary staple for generations. Whether it's driving childhood development or helping us maintain bone density as we age, this nutritional core is the real reason milk is probably sitting in your fridge right now.
Moving on to Section 2, the science of processing, from farm to shelf.
You know, the way we package dairy has evolved dramatically. Think about it. We went from lugging around heavy, fragile glass bottles back in 1884 to the invention of the paper carton in 1906, and finally to those super convenient plastic jugs introduced in 1964. Every single step was designed to extend shelf life and, frankly, save us from a giant mess in the kitchen. But well before it even hits that plastic jug, milk undergoes an intense, highly automated journey. We're talking a process that is completely untouched by human hands. It's an incredibly precise scientific assembly line: clarification, separation, standardization, pasteurization, homogenization, and finally, fortification. Here's where it gets really clever. Clarification actually spins out the non-milk particles, while separation isolates the fat. By splitting the raw milk into cream and skim, the industry can carefully recombine them to hit the exact fat percentages you see at the store, whether you're a whole milk fan, 2%, or fat-free.
Then, following pasteurization, which uses heat to kill off any bacteria, homogenization breaks down the fat globules so they don't separate. Because without this step, the cream would just naturally rise to the top over time. Homogenization is literally the science behind that perfectly uniform, smooth texture you expect with every single pour.
All right, Section 3, the global dairy economy. Who feeds the world?
Let's zoom out for a second. In 2018 alone, the world moved a staggering 843 million tons of milk. To put that massive number into perspective, that is enough liquid to fill hundreds of thousands of Olympic swimming pools. And surprisingly, this huge volume is largely driven by smallholder farmers.
And this is where the data gets really fascinating. While we might often picture these massive Western dairy operations, India actually leads the world at 22% of production. And that's driven largely by a smallholder model, which is then closely followed by the EU and the USA.
But if we look at global trade, it tells a totally different story. The EU and New Zealand absolutely dominate exports, while China is overwhelmingly the top importer. Even though India produces the most milk overall, massive domestic consumption keeps it off that top exporter list. Meanwhile, New Zealand, a country with a relatively tiny population, handles roughly a quarter of all global dairy exports. It's just incredible.
Which brings us to Section 4, the New Zealand advantage, looking at them as a dairy superpower.
So how exactly do they punch so far above their weight class? Well, their secret lies in lush, grass-fed pastures. Research shows this environment produces milk with an optimal 50-50 balance of omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. The diet of the cow directly upgrades the molecular quality of the milk itself, yielding huge benefits for our heart and brain health.
And here's a really fun fact for you. If you've ever wondered why New Zealand butter has that beautiful golden tint, it is not food coloring. It's due to high levels of beta-carotene derived straight from the green grass their cows are eating. It's a crucial antioxidant for our immune system, basically proving you can actually see their pasture-fed success right there in the product. When you contrast this with smaller-scale operations in places like Malaysia, New Zealand's sheer dominance is driven by AI-driven automation, heavy government research, and mega-mergers like Fonterra. By combining high-tech labs with massive processing and international trade, they've engineered a supply chain that easily floods the global market.
Finally, Section 5, strategies for selling dairy. Let's talk business and marketing. The business actually begins with grading. Grade A milk commands a premium price for direct drinking, while Grade B is heavily heated to be used in processed foods like cheese and butter. Because milk is such a household staple, Grade A has lower elasticity of demand, meaning people buy it consistently regardless of minor price changes. Grade B, however, acts a lot more like an industrial ingredient.
From there, marketers apply the classic 4 Ps: product, price, place, and promotion. Think about your very last trip to the store. They grab your attention by highlighting organic or local on the carton. They position it strategically at eye level in the supermarket, and they run digital ads to build brand trust. Every single element is meticulously crafted to win your dollar.
But as we all know, the landscape is experiencing a massive seismic shift right now. Plant-based alternatives like soy, almond, rice, and coconut milk are rapidly storming those exact same supermarket channels. And they're utilizing the exact same marketing playbook to appeal to changing consumer habits.
Which leaves us with a really critical question to ponder today. How will this multi-billion-dollar, highly optimized global dairy machine pivot in an increasingly plant-based future? Will we see dairy giants buy out their new rivals? Or will they double down on the unique science of traditional milk? The next time you pour a glass, you might just be looking at the front lines of a global food war.